This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
In news from the courts this evening, 29-year-old Darrell Bain, a.k.a. Tall Boy and Scared Him of Dean Street, this afternoon stood before Magistrate Ambrose Ambristo, accused of several charges stemming from two separate incidents. In the first matter, Bain's alleged to be behind one count each of housebreaking, armed robbery, and garroting. Reports are that on Wednesday, June 27, 2018, here in New Providence, Bain unlawfully entered the home of Blanche Moss. To this, he pleaded not guilty. It's on the same date and at the same time that he, armed with a knife, robbed Moss of her $3,000 vehicle. There's the further allegation that he choked Moss in an attempt to render her unconscious. For these counts, he was not required to enter a plea. He was not granted bail. Bain was instead remanded until March 8th at 10 a.m. for presentation of a VBI. In the second matter, Bain was charged with attempted murder, armed robbery, and garroting. It is alleged that on Monday, January 14th, Bain attempted to cause the death of LaShantia Clark. On the same date, he reportedly robbed her of an iPhone and choked Clark in an attempt to render her unconscious. Bain was again not required to enter a plea. Neither was he granted bail. He can, however, apply to the Supreme Court. Meantime, Mario DeVoe this afternoon stood before Magistrate Ambrose Ambristo on a litany of ammunition charges. DeVoe, who was arrested in Rock Sound, Duluth, was charged in one count each of possession of a prohibited weapon, possession of ammunition with the intent to supply, and possession of a component part of a firearm. It's alleged that on Tuesday, January 15th, in Rock Sound, DeVoe, being concerned with others, was found with a brown Austrian .45 pistol, not being a holder of a license to do so, one live .40 ammunition, 51.45 ammunition with the intent to supply to another, and one black .45 magazine, again not being the holder of a license to do so. The accused pleaded not guilty to all the charges. He was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until March 14th. He was not granted bail. He was represented by attorney Taylor Storr. A wanted suspect turns himself in. Police say Tony Jamal Smith, a.k.a. Fool, surrendered around 2:15 p.m. at the Central Police Station in Grand Bahama. Smith's wanted in connection with an illegal firearm charge. Claims that the Princess Margaret Hospital's hand-washing surgical equipment dismissed as false. In fact, a statement from the hospital charges that nothing could be further from the truth. PMH officials contending in a release that the hospital performs consistent sterilization and other required protocols on medical devices, equipment, and consumables that are actually earmarked for operating theaters and aseptic procedures in accordance with international standards, and this despite the challenges from time to time. Gadgets have taken over. Reports are that the world's now home to 7.2 billion of them and growing, and this includes cellular devices. That's more than there are people in the entire world. But despite the advancement, former BTC CEO Leon Williams is lamenting the fact that no concentration is being placed on the Caribbean region, a development that he says is critically important to the local economy.
Barack Obama appointed a telecommunications czar. That's all he did, to look after the interest, to make sure that the United States would be number one getting to 5G. I was at Canto Conference in Panama with the chairman of the FCC, was the keynote speaker, and he said it is the number one priority for the United States. Although they're getting beat by the Chinese, but it is the number one priority for the United States. Do you hear anybody espousing that in the Bahamas?
Now, Mr. Williams reasons that the advancement of technology plays a huge role in the progression of a nation.
You want to fight crime. We don't have the resources in the Bahamas to buy enough vehicles, put enough policemen on the road. Crime has to be fought using technology. I mean, go to Estonia, go to Singapore, go to South Korea, and find out what they're doing. I had Huawei come in and made a presentation to the cabinet of the Bahamas and to
In the face of cybercrime becoming a $6 trillion industry by the year 2021, Mr. Williams urging the country to pay special attention and invest in the advancement of technology. The former BTC chief's comments came while appearing as a guest on the JCN weekly talk show, Jones & Company. While cybercrime not only a concern of Mr. Williams, but the Democratic National Alliance's spokesperson on information technology, Samuel Strawn, was expressing concern in the face of ZNS's servers being hacked. The alleged hackers reportedly demanded a ransom to be paid in incremental payments of bitcoins. Mr. Strawn believes the attack raises serious concerns about the BCB's business continuity and disaster recovery framework, adding that the corporation's board and management must immediately disclose whether a robust business continuity plan exists for the organization and its effectiveness. Now, Mr. Strawn further argues that in the absence of such a framework, the BCB should move swiftly to draft and implement a disaster recovery plan, which, among other things, articulates a contingency plan for cyber attacks and other operational disruptions. A check on sports and weather up next.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.